Hey there. So today, like many days, we get an inquiry from a client of ours, and they want us to estimate a job. They want to expand on a feature that we had previously built for them. So part of me is thinking, hey, that's awesome because this is how we make money, right? But then also part of me is thinking, this is not a big job. And now I'm going to have to open up the code. I'm going to have to review our previous work. I'm going to have to think about all the data points. I'm going to have to kind of foresee the challenges that could come up in this project, all so that I can get an estimate together that the client may or may not accept. So I was thinking today about the challenges of what is professional consulting and what is estimating and prospecting for the sake of new business. So we do a lot of prospecting. I mean, we have regular clients and so on. Some have retainers and stuff like that. But as a web developer, at the end of the day, we're basically selling our time. Most clients want to know how much a project will cost before they commit to it. However, on the flip side of that coin, the only way I can give them that estimate is because I'm an expert in my field. I understand the scripting, I understand the databases. I can foresee some of the challenges and plan ahead for that. Isn't that professional consulting? And if it is professional consulting, then shouldn't we be compensated for that? So there's this massive gray area between prospecting, estimating, and writing proposals and actually being able to bill for our expertise. So if I get such a request, I've got to take a look at the software. I've got to review the code. I've got to check out the scripts. I've got to think about the data and all that kind of stuff. Then I've got to sit down and I've got to rewrite that into a form that my client is going to understand. And the only way I can do any of that is because I have decades of experience working in this environment. I'm an expert. So shouldn't that be worth something? Then again, the client didn't necessarily ask me to do the work. They are asking me for a proposal, a bid, uh, something that they can make a decision on whether or not it's worth investing their resources into. So consulting versus prospecting, yeah, it's probably a challenge for absolutely everyone out there, small web developer, even large web development agencies and design studios. It's figuring out where that consulting prospecting line is. Is the initial project assessment and planning consulting, or is it merely prospecting a new business? I guess that's the question today. And what I was thinking about earlier when I got one of our regular inquiries from a client. Okay, so most of our clients we have long-term relationships with and so on, and so over time the money comes in, but I do believe that we lose a lot of money to this concept of estimating and consulting, only to have the client decide not to move forward or push it down the line or to change the scope of the project. There's another frustrating point here, and it's that when the client starts this big and ends up this big, meaning you've sent over an estimate. Say you've sent over an estimate that will cost $2,000, and the client says, "Well, I'm not interested in spending 2,000. I'm interested in spending 1,000." In which case, we've got to reduce that. Now we're spending more time using our expertise to figure out how to save them that money. Of course, we're saving them the money so that we can still get some money. It's a real challenge. But if the client does not proceed with the project, then it's a zero gain unless we've charged for our consulting. So we're at our shop, we're doing this more and more, in that we are billing our time for this kind of planning. If it takes a level of expertise, and I'm not saying we're billing for every, hey, that'll take an hour kind of estimate. But if I've got to open up a website and explore the code, explore the databases, draw out little boxes and lines all over the place like I like to do so that I can visualize what the application is going to do, then I kind of feel like that's billable. And so we are working now to kind of capture that a bit more. Of course, one of the challenges in this is getting the client to understand this. So, do you tell them up front, well, I'm going to charge you for the estimate? And most clients probably aren't going to go for that. I think you have a long-term relationship with clients and so on that they expect that. I also think if you have a certain caliber of client, a corporate client, for example, it's going to be much more willing to pay for this kind of consulting. They're going to be used to paying for this kind of consulting versus a small mom and pop shop that's watching every single dollar that they're spending. So I think it has something to do with clients. I think it has something to do with the developer. I think it has something to do with the development business. There's so many factors here, but I do think it's a industry-wide challenge and problem. So generally, I sometimes will work this in if it's a big project and it's going to take a lot of consulting time and planning time and so on. Basically, what I'll say is, hey, listen, we're going to charge you for the assessment, charge you for the plan. And at the end of this, you're going to get a detailed technical brief that you can hire me to execute, or you could take to other developers and shop it around if you wanted to. That way, the client is getting something of value from us while they're paying for it without necessarily agreeing to move forward with the project immediately. For smaller jobs, for things that where the estimate's going to be a few hours and we have a long-term relationship with the client, we might do something where I just make a note. I spent an hour planning this out. If they move forward, let's make sure to add that to our billing, and that hour will be included within that estimate. Of course, that's a win-loss situation. That's a gamble on my part, but it might be worth it because it maintains certain client relationships. Then we have other clients who absolutely do understand that this is a level of expertise. They have the budgets for it and they expect to pay it. In which case, obviously, we're going to accept that. And I think you got to balance that between the different kinds of clients and so on. So this is an ongoing challenge. It's something that I've been watching, especially as a business owner. When you take a look at your monthlies and you're like, wow, I worked really hard this month, but where's the money? And you realize that you spent a ton of time writing proposals and so on. And some of those will come in, but some of them won't. So anyway, that's kind of where the challenge lies there. So anyway, I was thinking about this today. I've been in this business for 20 some years at this point, and I don't have an answer to it. But I do think it's something that you've got to watch for, you've got to measure, and be very aware of. I also think that, and it's taken me this long to get it into my head, is that don't be afraid to charge for your expertise. There's a reason these clients are coming to you, and that is because they can't do it themselves. Sure, maybe AI will be able to answer these questions for them one day, but today they're coming to you because you're an expert. They need that insight and so on, and that has value. So I'll wrap up the video there.